The following program is paid for by the Real Estate Radio Network.
You're listening to Real Estate Radio Fresno on 105.9 The FM KMJ. Now, live in studio, your host, local real estate expert, Craig Barton.
Good morning, Central Valley. I am your host, Craig Barton, and welcome to the Real Estate Radio Network, the most important hour of radio each week, here on 105.9 The FM KMJ. Real Estate Radio is a show dedicated to bringing some rational thought to the crazy world that we live in and helping you to rebuild the Central Valley's housing and credit markets. Within every market, there are solutions as well as tremendous opportunities. You just need some trusted advice, and that's exactly what you're going to hear every Sunday morning from 7 to 8 a.m. right here on 105.9 The FM KMJ. Thanks so much for joining us. Well, good morning, kids. Put your phone down, would you, for crying out loud? Are you checking in on Facebook or what?
Hey, I'm busted. Wow.
Right off the bat.
Boom.
You are a pistol.
I feel like I'm in school again, and I just got, hit over the knuckles by a teacher.
Did that happen a lot?
Face forward and your hands on the table.
They never hit me. But back then they could.
Yeah, they could.
They could. There was a paddle in the office.
I got whacked on my knuckles more than a couple times in third grade.
A long time ago.
Wow.
I think band camp?
And band camp. No, my father taught a 4th, 5th, 6th combination.
4th, 5th, and 6th?
Dad did?
Dad did. And it was during the time
that you could beat children?
and let me tell you, that is the only way that a 4th, 5th, 6th combination would ever work. Mm-hmm. No, seriously. Isn't that crazy?
Hence the reason for the beginning of Father's stellar financial investment career.
Yes. As soon as he had to do that, he realized that teaching was definitely not.
I got to do something that's a little less stressful. And managing money for people was a whole lot less stressful.
Yeah, less than managing kids.
10, 11, and 12-year-olds. Absolutely.
Wowzers.
Well, that was a good way to start the show off this morning. That's cool. I hope your dad's listening.
And the beatings shall commence. Okay.
Right.
As always, it's so good to have my special guest host, Michelle Pettiscavalli, in the studio with us. Michelle works with me at Valleywide Homes.
Good morning, Krager. Sorry I was Facebooking. I really wasn't Facebooking.
Your papers are not in order. You're in trouble.
I was reviewing a home.
Oh, you are so full of it. You were on Facebook. I saw it. Oh, you were never mind. I'm not going to give you an out on that one.
All right.
And we're also very happy to have Miss Kate Island from UBS Financial Services back in the studio with us.
I only have one comment for that one. I think
that?
She's cheating on us.
You know,
I will actually admit that I am because I'm kind of happy about it. I'm sorry,
Craig. I'm not really sure I'm okay with this.
I think they usually call this a spinoff, but for the moment, we'll call this cheating.
Cheating. She's cheating on us. She started seeing another program here at KMJ.
I did.
Oh my gosh.
Okay, we're gonna.
I was asked though. It wasn't my idea.
I won't say any names,
Whatever.
but Chris Daniels, you know who you are.
Don't you dare take our Kate.
This. You guys are my OGs though. I would never.
OGs. What are OGs?
OGs, my original gangsters.
Oh, wow! I feel like I'm in the hood. Wow. Oh, geez. I feel so lovely.
Wow.
Oh, geez.
Are we just a little too much for Sunday morning? I just have to ask that question.
No, I think we have a 1,000,001 viewers who are going to church praying for us every week. It's that kind of show.
I'm sure there's quite a few that
and we need
pray
it.
for
So
us.
you just keep doing it, guys.
Yeah,
you just keep doing it.
I do. I'm very appreciative of prayer. I resemble that remark. Yeah.
As am I.
Oh, my gosh. Thanks so much for being here, guys. Well, the Real Estate Radio Network gives us the opportunity to collectively reach so many people efficiently for one full hour each and every week. We like being a resource. We really do. Our goal at the Real Estate Radio Network is to get you, our listeners, the timely and accurate truth about your local real estate market so we can help bring you
back home.
You do a great job.
Thanks. I was trying to bring us back home.
Try to bring some emotion to that statement.
That's right.
Yep. I appreciate it. Well, let's take a look at today's show. We're going to take a look at some of the top stories in the news, by the way. And also, did you know that there is a seller shortage that plagues many markets? Dun,
really?
Dun, dun.
We've been telling people that. They just caught on again.
I was going to say news flash.
Yeah, really.
This is like...
It might have something to do with the continual rise in housing prices. I don't know. It's just, I'm not an expert in this area, but I think that might be
it's a pretty good guess, Kate.
Thank you.
I really do.
Thank you.
You know that FHA, the Federal Housing Administration, appears to be largely spared by this sequester. We're going to have Kate help define sequester.
Is that like equestrian?
No.
That's what I think of when I hear the word, but I know better. But I did see sequestrian on the internet with me, which made me think that.
Really?
So, yeah,
is that a person who enacts a sequester?
I have no idea. I think it was on a governmental site,
good.
actually.
Okay. Yeah, that's a good question.
Nice.
Good question.
Equestrian.
And new home sales gain steam.
Well, how are they gaining steam when there's none to sell? I'm confused.
New homes.
Oh, new homes. New construction.
There we go.
There we go. Get some
And
nails
possibly
and hammers.
a reason. Did anybody see Home Depot's earnings this week? They
Yeah.
blew it out of the water.
Additional dividend payout, huh? Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Earnings and revenue beat. Additional, and I think they're also doing some share buybacks. I mean, they killed it this week.
Yeah.
So
Nice.
yeah, good for the housing market. Everything
Very good
related to
sign.
housing, honestly, is as good as it could possibly be right now.
As my daddy would say, we were, in tall cotton.
That's right.
Right? Or at
Yes.
least it appears that we're heading in that direction.
Right.
Yeah. And foreclosed homeowners seek a second chance.
Are you giving it to them?
Now, well, I'm doing everything I can
Okay.
to help them out. And we're also going to take some listener questions as well. Again, if you have any real estate or mortgage-related questions or questions regarding the information that we share with you here on the show, Kate, Michelle, and myself would love to hear from you. It all starts with one call. Call us anytime, 800-979-3958. Again, that's 800-979-3958. You can also go to our website. Check out our resources online at fresnohomes.com. To friend us on Facebook, use Press 4 keywords.
Friend Valley Wide on Facebook.
Or use Press 4 keywords.
KMJ, call Valley Wide.
To get connected to us, which means to call us anytime. We'd love to hear from you. We'd love to hear your questions. We'd love to, honestly, help in any way that we can. Let's take a look at today's hot property. Today's hot property is brought to you by Perfect Inspections. Whether it's residential, multifamily, commercial, use Press 4 keywords, Perfect Home Inspections. Or call Jerry Schooley today for your perfect home inspection at 352-6941. Again, that's 352-6941. Michelle, take it away.
This week's hot property is 52802 Timberview Road, North Fork, California, 93634. $450,000. Parcel is just under 5.5 acres, backs up to forest land. 3-bedroom, 2.5 bath with a beautiful office to work from home at. I'm looking at Kate, thinking, Kate, you should get this house. Anyways,
It's so cute.
well,
It
and let
does
me-
sound really charming.
Yeah, okay. Well, it's just under 1,000 square feet of wraparound porch. And I kid you not, they're all set up in these seating areas. It's like 3 extra
that's
rooms
so
outside
cute.
with a step-down spa off the master suite. Yeah, it's quite gorgeous. Nonetheless, I've had a lot of out-of-towners checking it out who are
It's not
considering.
surprising.
Yeah.
It really
like
is.
as a second home? Or as
Second
in
home
moving?
or relocation.
Really?
Yeah, so really, really getting
Folks
a lot
that
of interest.
specifically
Nice.
want to live in that area.
Yeah.
In other words, they want to.
Because it's nestled between Bass Lake, North Fork, and Oakhurst, so you have the best of everything.
That area.
Like North Fork's a really small, quiet community, not a lot of industry. Then you have Bass Lake, which is summer resort.
Absolutely.
And then you have Corsica, which is like a thriving city with all the amenities. So honestly, gorgeous, gorgeous place. And I won't lie, the last time I was up there, I had to go to Ducey's for dinner. It was wonderful.
Oh, nice.
So, it's
Good
only like
excuse.
10 minutes from Ducey's. Like, you can't, hey.
Did you see that receipt come through? Was that written off?
That'd be a business
It was a
expense.
business dinner at Ducey's.
That was
I know how
not
that
a
works.
I took a few locals, I hope you know. There were 6 of us for dinner.
Never mind the 4 bottles of wine.
Yeah,
That was
exactly.
client entertainment.
Oh my gosh!
me
My
tell
gosh!
ya.
It really is a little slice of heaven.
It is.
Yeah. If I had my druthers, I'd just stop working and go up there and.
And I'm trying to convince his wife that it's the perfect place for them, actually. I'll come visit. I love the porch. You might never get me off the porch. I'll be like that little dog that
All
just
right,
sits
well,
on the porch.
Then let's move on. And she's never going to see that property.
Moving on
He's
then.
like, all right then.
Again, one thing real quick about this particular property is
Yes, sir.
check us out on the cover of
Oh,
Guide to Better Homes magazine.
This month's edition, we are the
Yep.
cover and the centerfold.
Yep.
I've never been a centerfold before. It was quite exciting. I'm just saying.
Photo shoot was
The photo
something
shoot
you had
was
never.
amazing.
Wow.
Thanks for being there, Craig.
Did they make you feel it at home?
Yes, you and I are the centerfold. You
Yes,
know that,
we are
don't you?
the-
Well, along with the house.
I only
but
read that magazine for the articles.
I'm
so I
sure
don't-
you do. And there's quite a hot article on this hot property.
Wow.
Let me tell you.
Excellent.
Boy,
I'm
we are sure
excited.
bringing a whole lot of color to KMJ this morning, aren't we?
Hey,
Wow. So
I told you, we need prayer, and they need to smile. It's all good.
Yeah,
it's a give and
all
take
I've heard
relationship.
is we need prayer. We're part of the centerfold. And we're only 9 minutes in, 10 minutes in.
The most morally shining example of our show.
If my mother was alive, she would, I'd be in trouble.
Yeah.
Exactly. Well, if you'd like more information about today's hot property, give Michelle a call. Michelle.
Area code 559-367-6800.
367-6800. Or give us a call here at the show, 800-979-3958. Again, that's 800-979-3958. Or you can use press for keywords.
KMJ Hot Property.
And we will send you more information about this hot property right to your phone. Look for more hot properties each week right here on the Real Estate Radio Network. Well, in Fresno County, top stories, 1,056 listings. It doesn't, we're hovering right between 1,000 and 1,100.
Yeah. Honestly, we came up a little bit in January by not even 30 houses.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
So I'm hoping that it's headed upwards, but I'm kind of concerned based on inventory levels that we're going to get.
You're concerned about the number of units sold, or you're concerned about the total inventory?
Both.
I'm concerned.
Okay. One affects the other, of course.
Well, sure.
I'm concerned that, again, and I was going to bring this point up, that my concern is that if inventory levels don't increase, and granted, I don't necessarily want to see any of the other variables, in other words, mortgage rates increase. I would rather see it be a situation that inventories increased slightly to pull out of the equation one of those variables that I think helps to push us towards, quote unquote, our next bubble. And that really, call me sensitive or hypersensitive based upon what we've been through over the last 5-6 years. I just don't want to see us get back there. I don't want to see, average sales price in Fresno County is roughly $185,000 as of January. I don't want to see us back in a position where, next thing that number's $350, and if things go up too fast, what happens? And we'll get into this a little bit later as far as when we do our Market Watch update with Kate Island is, Kate, what happens if we see too sharp a rise as far as housing prices here in Fresno County, and then the pendulum begins to swing pretty openly in terms of inflation becomes...
I was going to say inflation it was either a key driver of that housing price increase, or was a portion of it, or then what happens after that? Because again, the bleed-through effects on the positive or the negative side are vast when it comes to the housing market.
Yeah.
Well, and there's a lot of things affecting it. Like, for instance, we're not seeing the foreclosures hitting as quickly as they would have been in the past because we have more potential short sale conversations going on, which is a great thing.
Right.
I would actually persuade and encourage builders to be putting their inventory on MLS for those agents out there who have first-time home buyers and move-up buyers who are seeking property, because if you're a builder and you don't have your homes on MLS, those folks who aren't seeking builder opportunities aren't seeing your properties necessarily.
They don't even know that they're there.
Exactly. So
that's not a
standard thing. No, they don't have to. New construction isn't always listed. But honestly, in this market, I think it would actually stimulate them if they were working with agents. So,
well, again, how many agents do you have out in the association that are hardworking, that are progressive, and that could be part of their sales staff?
Right.
It's a free sales staff for them, generally speaking, because they're paying fees to their agents for bringing those folks.
Right. And the unfortunate thing that you typically don't see is that until the market conditions swing opposite their way, whereas in 2007-8, you saw so many different developers place all of their homes because it was all they could do out of desperation. It was all they could do to move their inventory. Now when we're seeing things swing back the other direction, I wish that it was standard in terms of that this was part of their business model, because to be real honest, if I'd like to go online and look for Granville inventory, I'm not going to be able to get the opportunity to see it unless Michelle Brunn is listing the property and it is one of their homes that they may have bought back within their neighborhood. I'm not going to see their new housing inventory. I take that back. In some instances,
Michelle's
I will.
pretty good. I was going to say Granville's one of the few. They and Lennar
some
that
of
you
hers.
see
I
quite
take
a
that
few. But there's a lot of other smaller builders out there who have inventory or who are building inventory that could produce them additional sales if working with agents who are walking around showing properties.
Yeah.
Right. And
So
they're going to make a
about.
lot more money just by selling the home than they will by paying, having part of the commission go to a realtor who's maybe outside of their group, right?
Well, again, it's stimulating the overall economy. Not only that, though, again, my buyer moves into their home. Now we have additional inventory that has been produced on the open market. And so we want that continual.
It's good to have turnover.
Yeah, I mean, it's just a normal progression of the process.
Right.
So.
And we need more inventory, pure and simple. Do you know that supply of existing homes for sale reached nearly an 8-year low in January nationally, according to the National Association of Realtors? There is currently a 4.2-month supply of existing homes for sale, which is in sharp contrast to what we see here in Fresno County, that we're roughly about a month and a half in terms of existing inventory.
Well, and where it came from, wasn't there at some point in time over a year or two's worth of supply on the market? I mean, this was just, I feel like, 2 years ago.
Yeah,
the supply was huge.
A year ago this time, we saw roughly about 3,000 active listings in Fresno County.
Wow.
And that's active. That doesn't take into consideration, and to clarify, the status is deemed active, not backup, where the agent may have changed the status to backup because they're still wanting offers to be submitted. This is active, and active means there's no offers that have been accepted on the property currently.
Okay.
4.2 month inventory nationally, which that tells you, depending upon what those markets look like as far as, what are their monthly sales in terms of just net numbers, how long is it going to take to blow through that? And if we're at 1.2, we're definitely on the other side of things, but 4.5 or almost 4.5.
Yeah, we're way below that.
Yeah, and FHA largely to be spared sequester.
Sequestering? We're not sequestering them?
No, we're not.
We're not putting them up in a hotel while we finish.
Not going to do that
with the judge.
Yeah, exactly. Lock them away and they can't come out.
Can we talk about FHA a minute? Can I get serious? I know it's hard for me, but I'm going to try. I hear rumor, and I want you to confirm or deny the rumors, Craig.
Yes.
The rumors with FHA are they will be increasing mortgage insurance, and it will never go away, ever, 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 ever.
You are correct. Yep.
The rumors are true.
If the loan-to-value exceeds 95%, the monthly mortgage insurance premium is going to go from 1.25% per month to 1.35%. And if it's below 95%, it's going to go to 1.3%, up from 1.2%.
And doesn't that occur on April 1st?
Yes.
That increase? And then the lifetime PMI starts the 1st of June?
Yes.
Is that right?
And here's the situation for those folks who can't really calculate that.
Right.
Your property taxes are 1.25% in Fresno County. So if we're charging 1.25% on MI, and now we're going to go above that, it's superseding property taxes, all to get that policy in place. So I just...
and the other thing to consider, too, is that you have that for the life of the loan. So
Correct.
before, wasn't it when you got down to 75 or 78% equity in the home, it would go away?
Right. You
so
request it.
if you held that loan for 30 years, then quite literally you'd be paying maybe an extra 20 years of that PMI, which is on a house that's 180, which was the average selling price. I mean, so you're looking at, what is that, $2,000 a year in PMI times 20 years. That increases the price of your home by $40,000.
And your payments. Yeah.
But ultimately, to me, the message is this, is that like any investor on Wall Street, the average life of a mortgage on Wall Street, on the secondary market, is 7-point-some years.
Okay.
So that means that particular mortgage is going to, on average, if it's a 30-year fixed-rate loan, it's going to pay off.
People will either sell it or
refinance
pay it off,
within that period of time. And in today's market, it'd be interesting to see what those stats were. But to me, what that tells me is that FHA does not want to, and I've heard this time and time again in the news, experts stating that, the Federal Housing Administration, we don't want FHA to bear this large of a burden. We talked in last week's show, 35% of all acquisitions in Fresno County are FHA financing. Cash is number 2. We don't want FHA to bear this large a burden because we need it to be spread out. We need the secondary market to begin to get
an appetite for these
and absorb some of these.
To force them to, because otherwise, unless they're forced to, the appetite comes long after they are forced to. So that's one of the reasons why they're increasing these mortgage insurance premiums.
Well, not only that, but haven't we also heard? FHA's. Yeah, that's exactly. They're going upside down.
Right.
They've got to be able to recoup their loss.
Kind of what you were starting to say at the beginning of the show, just about if you have a huge portion of the population only putting 3% or only putting 5% down on their houses.
Right.
And while the trend right now in pricing is good, if for some reason something happened where prices came down, we are literally in the same exact situation that we were in not 5 years ago.
Yep.
Correct.
And so, I mean, again, it's nice to have the
skin in the game.
FHA. You got it.
Yep.
But I really do think that there's, I mean, again, the financing is good. It's nice that it's out there. But I think that if, like you said, Craig, if it becomes such a huge portion of the financing, that's a problem.
I have a first-time
really
home buyer closing this next week, and they total in $1,600 plus appraisal and inspections. $1,600.
That scares
It
me.
makes it easier.
So it's a little tricky, and that's 3.5% down with SHDAP and some other, incentivizing for for first-time home buyers. So again, if you don't have skin in the game,
right,
and that's what we're talking about, the skin in the game is important. And when people are only putting 1% to 3.5% in, there's no
really
skin in the game.
Not a lot of skin in
What's
the game.
the big deal about walking away?
Well, and here's another thing too about just the PMI being there for life. The thought is, well, in a couple years you can refinance.
Yeah.
We are facing the lowest rates that we've ever seen. Everybody knows rates are going to go up. So are you going to refinance if rates are at 5-6%?
Well, if you're 3.5 right at the moment, what's the motivation to go refinance at 5.25?
That's what I'm saying. So these people that are doing these loans or that will close the loans after June 1st, unless you pay off your house early and make plans for that, you're going to be paying that PMI forever. Which again, as a person in the financial planning business, I would really have to encourage people to look hard at that decision because it increases the cost of your house by whatever that amount of the PMI is, over the life of the loaner until I guess you sell the house.
Right. So it's
it's something to consider. Exactly, it's something to consider.
Yeah. Well, again, if you have any real estate or mortgage-related questions or some input on the topics that we're sharing with you this morning, give us a call, 800-979-3958. Again, that's 800-979-3958. You can also check out our resources online. Go to our website at reofresnohomes.com. To friend us on Facebook, use Press 4 Keywords.
Friend Valley White on Facebook.
Or use Press 4 Keywords.
KMJ, call Valley White.
Call into the show anytime. We'd love to hear from you. And there's also about a 3-second delay here in the studio. I don't know if you guys noticed that.
Sorry.
Coming up, we got...
Sorry.
All right, follow along, please. Coming up, we've got Kate Island with UBS Financial Services.
She's here?
Yeah, Kate's here. Kate's back. For our Market Watch update, make sure you stay with us. You are listening to the Real Estate Radio Network, helping to redefine real estate here on 105.9, the FM KMJ.
This program is brought to you by the Real Estate Radio Network. Visit realestateradio.us for more info. That's realestateradio.us.
Mortgage interest rates are at historic lows, and there's never been a more affordable time to buy real estate. Whether you're looking for your first home, moving up, or your next income-producing property, let the mortgage professionals at Valley White help. Valley White Homes has been helping homeowners with their mortgage needs since 1997. When it comes to the Valley's real estate, we know our way around the neighborhood. Call toll-free, 800-979-3958. And put the seasoned professionals at Valley White Homes to work for you. Valley White Homes, NMLS number 342062, 235-952, California Department of Real Estate License 0122-8460. Have you ever thought about going solar? It's never been easier to go solar than with a SunPower lease. You'll start saving money the very first day. Arise Solar has a team of energy consultants ready to help you determine if going solar is right for you. Start taking control of your energy costs. Contact Arise Solar, your local SunPower Elite dealer at 449-8989. That's Arise Solar at 449-8989. Or use Press 4 Keywords, Arise Solar.
Did you know that all the tickets you can buy on different websites come from the same place? Did you know that you can buy every ticket you need to any event in the country, the whole country, from Pete's Seats right here in Fresno? If that's the case, you need to call Pete's Seats. Any ticket, anytime. Sports, concerts, theater. Hey, there's seats, and then there's Pete's Seats. Premium tickets for all events, local, national, worldwide. Don't settle for a regular seat when you can get a really good Pete's Seat. Online at peteseats.net or simply 294-SEAT. That's 294-7328.
How much should I be saving? When can I retire? What can I do to ensure that my estate will be left in the hands of my family once I'm gone? Is my hard-earned money safe in today's markets?
With all the uncertainty in today's world, all of us at the Island Group know it is our job to provide answers to these questions. Walk with us, the Island Group at UBS Financial Services. Call me, Kate Island, at 559-248-4097. That's 559-248-4097, and take the first step in protecting your financial future.
All rights reserved. UBS Financial Services, Inc. is a subsidiary of UBS AG. Member SIPC.
You're listening to Real Estate Radio Network with local expert Craig Barton. Now, here's Craig.
Well, Michelle, we've got Kate Island with UBS Financial Services back in the studio with us.
Cheater, pumpkin eater. Oh, I'm sorry. You mean that girl who's
spreading the wealth around KMJ.
She's moonlighting on us, but that's
Wow.
okay. That's okay.
Moonlighting. That sounds better than cheating.
So how
should I
does your
just come in
husband feel about
How
that?
did your husband feel about that?
Just gonna wear a big scarlet A next time I come
Yeah.
here.
Wear it proud.
That's right. That's
Wear it
right.
proud.
Goodness.
So, Kate,
Yes.
my gosh, there is no shortage of interesting financial news here in the market.
Oh man, I know, and especially just
confused.
this past week, it's been crazy.
It has, and I keep seeing this word sequestrian. I'm like, okay, are we talking horses? Are we talking putting people up in hotels? Because
This is not an
they're
equine conversation.
They're juries.
This is
not an equine
Tell me more.
conversation.
Tell me more. What? Okay, I would like your explanation because
Yes.
I did a lot of research on the word, honestly.
Oh, good.
I did because it bothered me that it was so confusing to me what exactly
it is.
they were trying to share with the public because the
Well,
words they use are funny, but
That's the thing,
nonetheless.
and there's many different numbers that are kind of being tossed around
Yeah,
in regards to this sequester.
I've been
Well, it's kinda
researching
like
that as well.
When you taught us, when you learned us about austerity, and now we're moving on to sequester.
Put your teeth back in, Craig. Put your teeth back in.
They're pretty much the same thing. I mean, ish.
Explain.
Ish.
The issue, like with the austerity measures, it's kind of like you have to do it.
Yeah.
You know, they have to do it. The sequester is like, well, we're trying to do this, quote unquote, ahead of time. I laugh because it's obviously a big problem for spending right now. So I mean, we're not like ahead of the curve by any means. But
so let's talk about it in layman's terms because I'm here.
Because I'm here.
No, so okay.
It's almost 10%, or the numbers are varied. I see 8.2. I see a lot of different percentages. No.
Yeah. Okay.
Across the board for certain? No. Okay, stop. Explain.
Okay. So the sequester is actually part of the Budget Control Act from 2011.
Right.
Okay.
Saying dudes get it together or else.
Well, and the Budget Control Act was saying we are trying to reduce our federal deficit. So right now we know we blew past our debt ceiling, which was the limit, like the kind of the cap on the amount that we can borrow as a country, like your credit limit on a credit card.
Right.
That's where we're at.
We're over limit.
We're over limit. Yes, and essentially we're getting a free pass through May 19th.
Okay.
Because Congress couldn't agree on anything. Surprise.
Wow, that's a whole other show.
I
right
know,
there, isn't
I
it?
know. So the BCA, the Budget Control Act, had the aim of reducing our federal debt, which right now is over $16.5 trillion, but the portion of that is called public debt is about $11.5 trillion. There's about $4-5 trillion that's held in Social Security trust funds that is not. They don't consider that like part of our public or private debt. You see, so they kind of separate it out. So really, what we pay interest on is about $12 trillion. Okay. So thus far, Congress, our president, they have come to zero agreement about what was actually supposed to be cut in this Budget Control Act. So this was a whole part of the fiscal cliff, is that if nothing was agreed upon during 2012, we were going to see all these cuts, hence the fiscal cliff that never was.
Yeah.
Because still our politicians are not doing their jobs, and they didn't through the end of the year. They pushed out these budget cuts to March 1st.
I did some research, and I don't know if anybody has told the politicians, but their expense accounts are going to be sequestered. I'm just saying. I did.
Do you want to know what's really interesting is things that are not able to
Be sequestered, yeah.
Like
congressional pay.
Oh no, their paychecks aren't,
Oh,
but
my
their
gosh.
their discretionary expense accounts are.
Johnny, you're with me, right, buddy? I don't get it. I know.
There's
Johnny's
a-
hitting his
There's a
hitting
trend on
his head.
Facebook: 535 first jobs to be lost should be senators and congressmen.
Yeah, thank you.
That's what they
Seriously.
said.
I totally agree.
I'll share it with you on Facebook.
Please do.
Okay.
Okay, but so back to the point at hand. So the sequester is actually aiming to cut $1.2 trillion of spending over the next 10 years.
10% over 10 years.
So it sounds like a lot, but
It's really not.
I mean, our budget right now, I think, is about $1.5 trillion. So you're talking about cutting less than 10% of your
Annually. Yeah,
right.
1.5.
Right. The CBO, so, we've been running at a pretty high annual deficit of, it was, I think, close to $2 trillion a couple years ago. CBO projects that this year we're going to only be over budget by about $865 billion.
Oh, is that all?
But it has been, I think, 3 years since the Senate has actually passed a budget. we're not even trying anymore,
Yeah.
which is honestly like it is.
That's the most frustrating part.
Frustrating thing is they're honestly not even trying anymore. They look like children, and I don't care what side you sit on.
No,
it's just
they
like.
do.
Did you hear John Boehner this week? He actually said ASS. Can you say that on the radio, Johnny? Yeah, we're good. Johnny said
acronym. You're okay with the ASS?
Okay. He actually said that this week, and then
I'm sure he's frustrated.
And then Harry Reid says, "Well, I'm from a state where we have lots of brothels, so I've heard a lot of sailors talk."
Oh my God, he's hanging out in the brothels?
Like these,
No, he's from Nevada.
I just want to say, these are the people that we have elected to
and
make
continued
big
to
decisions
re-elect
for us.
Thank you.
As far as our nation's future, over that.
Scary.
Yeah. So we've got these $1.2 trillion of cuts. However, in the fiscal year of 2012 or it's the fiscal year that ends in September. There's only $85 billion of cuts. And I say only because, no joke, that's like 2 weeks of interest on our nation's debt. That's the equivalent of what we're talking about cutting right now. And then I've heard some estimates that really it's the real number is $44 trillion somewhere. So again, the cuts right now, and I'm not trying to downplay them because there are some projections that there could be 750,000 federal employees who will be affected. Not necessarily all of them fired, but some of them furloughed. So it's no joke as far as, that these cuts are going to have some effect. When you take into account the cuts, the increase in the payroll taxes, and then the increase in taxes on some of our constituents because of the fiscal cliff, that actually could drag us into a recession. Personally, this is not the opinion of UBS. Do it. We have to start doing something to get our debt in line. It's ridiculous.
When they talked about the job cuts in the articles I was reading and the information I was reading, and just so you know, whitehouse.gov, you can go in there and do a lot of research on this.
Treasury.gov, too, is a great website for information.
I mean, like today I was on there. It gives me the White House daily schedule for the president, the vice president, and, what everybody's hanging out doing today, which I find really interesting because there's absolutely no accountability in this country for politicians.
That's flipping great.
Isn't it? Okay, so whitehouse.gov, but it also goes into the judicial branch, all the different branches of and like the judicial branch, I think it said, no, it was, the executive branch, including members of the armed forces, the executive branch employs more than 4 million Americans. 4 million in just that one branch. So each branch, which there's 3 branches, can you imagine the numbers of people that will be affected? And here's what I say, because I'm like this.
Because I say
outside of the armed forces, why aren't we trying to privatize those folks who are
because it might save money?
Because it might save money. Because all these secretaries and
efficient.
Administrative people and auditors, etc. Why aren't we privatizing these folks as they go furlough?
Yep.
Those companies out there who have the opportunity, figure it out, guys. Let's privatize these folks and let the government hire them from you.
And let me just interject something.
Sorry,
we can't even privatize the waste management services that are provided to Fresno County.
Oh my gosh!
Well,
I just threw my pen. Oh my gosh!
I know.
We can't even get that done with.
The numbers of people involved in that decision,
and let me tell you
because it makes too much sense.
Right,
I know.
But this is the difference, and I know this firsthand because my husband is the GM of a cell phone tower company. Okay, it's construction. He builds cell phone towers, so all the 4G stuff that's going on, that's what he builds. It is construction, so you hire people hourly to do those jobs.
Correct.
When his company is hired by a government entity, they have to pay prevailing wage,
which is
more than double
right.
what he pays his employees. So literally, the company doesn't make any money by taking those jobs because they have to pay those wages that are quote unquote prevailing wages that are double what he pays. And it's not as though his guys are working for minimum wage. I mean, there are some guys who are construction workers who, because of their overtime, make almost 6 figures. So it's not as though these guys are getting ripped off.
Yeah.
Okay. So when you have that kind of mismanagement in finances and then multiply it by umpteen trillion whatever agencies. Exactly. California alone, I think, has over 1,100 different agencies. So there's employees then for all of those.
Correct.
Okay. We know. This is fact. The government cannot do work as quickly or as efficiently with capital as can the private sector.
Correct.
Let's just get that out there.
Yep.
So the fact that we have such a bloated government, and I'm sorry. I'm sorry for those people that are going to get furloughed. I'm sorry for those people that are going to lose their jobs.
But what an opportunity, because you know the ins and outs of how to make it effective. Get yourself in a position where you can take advantage of that.
Right.
Make an organization, create a company. That's what this what this country was made on.
Well, and the other thing to think of is we're trying to make these cuts now so that we're not Greece in 10 years,
right.
and suddenly people are getting their pensions cut by 30. We are absolutely on that track.
Yeah.
It is ridiculous, and the fact that we can't even make a simple decision to raise the retirement to raise the full age of Social Security to 67 for people that are 15 years out from retiring. You're telling me that we can't get that decision done to make Social Security solvent for another 30 years. We literally can't get our act together to do that.
I say fire them all.
It has gotten to the point. It is the most ridiculous thing. And from a financial aspect, the United States is the most powerful country in the world. Okay?
Was. Are we still, though?
We are. We are the largest. We're the largest GDP. We have the strongest military. Okay, so we are the strongest country in the world.
Until they take our guns. But.
That's a whole other story.
Sorry.
We're going to put them in the hands of the military, though. So
that's right. That's right.
Okay, so we are the most powerful nation in the world, and right now we have a huge debt crisis, and we are getting a free pass to fix it. The fact that we only have had our credit rating downgraded one notch, okay, the fact that we're still able to borrow money at a 10-year basis for today of less than 2%, we are getting a free pass, and we are throwing it away. We are using
wasting
this time.
The opportunity.
Exactly. And 10 years, 20 years from now, the damage that we're doing now by not making these hard decisions is going to be irreparable. And we are not, and you think that it's going to be, you think that raising the retirement age by 1 year is a big deal now? You have got to be kidding me. Right now, Medicare is already paying out more money than it's taking in. Go to the government's website. You can literally see these numbers. In 2016, Social Security is going to begin paying out more than it takes in. In 2033, that Social Security trust fund, gone. Gone. And then at that point in time, and it's already saying on your Social Security statements, by 2033, you can expect that you are only going to receive 75% of these benefits. But as life expectancy increases, which just since the 1960s, the average life expectancy has risen by 10 years. So if we have another 60 years of that or 50 years of that, by 2033, the average age that people are going to be living to is going to be close to 90. And Social Security is going to be gone even. I mean, I'm sorry, I don't mean to go off, but it's like when you just start boiling down the numbers, this makes no sense. It makes no sense that we literally can't agree to make these changes.
Well, and the scary part is the public is not outraged as a whole. Like you're not seeing those
it's
people.
like we're sitting back and watching a sideshow at the circus.
Seriously.
We're just kind of sitting back and watching it as it's all going along.
It's just
and our mouths are
happening
open.
in slow motion.
Well,
and I think that's why there's not this outrage. But let me tell you, when suddenly you get a check that's 20 or 30% less than what you got last month, there are going to be riots in the street.
But it's going to have to be that kind of pain. It's really going to have to hit you in the pocket.
But it's
going
dumb.
to have to.
It's dumb
to wait.
Because we have this free pass right now to fix these things,
and
we're just not doing it.
Have you heard the story about if you view violence, like you're the single person who watches another person strike a separate person. So you're the third party watching. How when you are the only person, you jump in and intervene and try to stop the violence or the madness that you're observing. But if there's 20 people and one person goes and strikes another person, nobody does anything because nobody feels accountable for it. Have you ever heard that? It's a statistically proven fact. And that's kind of how I feel. Everyone's sitting back, all the congressmen, all the senators, all the politicians sitting back just waiting like it's not my fault. It's not my responsibility. It's none of their responsibility.
Well, and I can appreciate both sides fighting for what they believe in. While I think one side is decidedly wrong, I appreciate both sides are fighting.
Them out too,
right?
Kate.
Okay,
I appreciate that. That's respectful.
But I appreciate the fact that they're fighting for what they believe in. But it's like, look down the road 5 or 10 years. Just take a peek at the future and see that your obstinance in trying to make a decision, trying to come to a real compromise for this country is going to bankrupt literally entire generations. People that are kids now, good luck. Good luck in life, because there's going to be no money left in this government.
My 11-year-old needs to have a retirement account now that we're putting money into because otherwise he's not going to have anything to live for.
I mean, it really is scary, and it's disheartening. And I know that we've got so many other issues, and there are good things going on in the economy, but it's just like this is just such a slow bleed into mediocrity.
Well, and they've created it though because we have such an unbalanced governmental employment situation versus private employment situation. Absolutely. The government entities are not going to protest. They're not going to get out there and scream and yell necessarily.
Right.
Because at this point, they're sitting pretty with their retirements,
Right.
and they're
Well,
not
and
actively being affected.
Right. Like Craig, you and I had kind of talked about maybe trying to gather some information about pensions for the show, and I frankly just couldn't get it together.
That's because she's moonlighting. But whatever.
Hey now.
I'm gonna talk to you
but
later.
some of the information that I looked up kind of off UBS's, offline from UBS.
Yeah.
I mean, just the amount of money that people can retire with in pensions. I mean, it's like, come on.
How much is too much? That's what I want to know, because some folks that are able to double dip as far as pensions are concerned and go back to work for the same entity that they were working for before and still pull a salary is ridiculous.
Oh, yeah.
Well,
A retired policeman, a retired medical retirement, now works for a school district here in the Valley as a police cop or a school cop. Tell me, how getting a new retirement now? He's got his medical retirement all cozy, tied up in a bow. And now we have our new retirement because he works for a school district as a cop.
There should just be some logical...
It's greed. It's flat out.
It's ridiculous.
Yeah, but the whole pension, I mean, let's talk about this issue, because we
We're
think
gonna do a
Social
whole show on
Security and Medicare are an issue.
Right.
The unfunded pension obligations that we
wowzers.
have in this state, in this country...
Is overwhelming.
It's
overwhelming. Probably doesn't do a good
problem.
job.
Is California still the worst?
I think so.
I think
Has
we
to be.
are.
I think we are.
I would think we are, absolutely. But it's just, I mean, that whole, you're right. It is like
a
an
whole
entire
nother
show.
subject.
It's an entire, like, 3 shows. But there's so many things that are, like, all going to come together at one point in time in the future. And I know that there's been a lot of people that have kind of been doomsdayers and saying this for a long time. I've certainly been preaching
now
this
it's gonna
story for a long time. But I really do feel like we're literally getting closer and closer to it every single day. And the longer that this group of politicians are in place, the worse it gets, because we literally can't even decide to cut $85 billion. And again, I know it sounds like a lot. It's like 2.5 weeks of interest on our country's debt. We paid $400 billion of interest on our country's debt last year. Check it. It's on the Treasury's website. $400 billion. And we can't talk about an $85 billion cut.
But it looks good when you're grandstanding and you're talking about that
In the
big
press.
a number in the press, or you're on one of the weekend news shows.
Right.
It
And
looks
then it's
good.
so obnoxious to say we're not going to make cuts on the backs of senior citizens and that kind of thing. It's like, guess what? You're doing it right now by not making these
By not doing
decisions.
A whole
anything.
lot more people.
On a whole lot more
Right.
people and like
Right.
generations of people.
Right.
And I honestly think, I mean, nobody wants cuts that are, it's like, yeah, you
them
can cut
directly.
that, but not if it affects me.
Right.
But I really do think that if you polled people 65 and over pulling Social Security, I guarantee you that a good majority of them will be willing to take a little, I'm talking about like little bit of a cut, 1%, 2%, in order to make sure that they had those benefits for the rest of their lives.
Right.
It's a cost benefit analysis, and I really think people would do it. And I do think there's a lot of people who are altruistic about making those cuts and making some of these sacrifices, or people maybe who haven't retired yet and they're willing to retire later so that their kids have those kinds
Right.
of benefits. I mean, they're just not going to be around forever. And like I said, we have this great opportunity as a country right now, because we are still the strongest nation. That is not going to continue forever.
Honestly, guys, I think it's going to come down to, until there is absolute, complete unrest, and I hate to say it, but anarchy, that this is going to go unfixed. It's going to go unfixed or banned. It's like, once again, I use the analogy. It's like putting a Band-Aid on a severed limb. It's just not going to... It's just kicking the can down the road.
It doesn't even get there, no. And the problem is, like you said, the grandstanding and just the way that things are skewed in the media and skewed by politicians.
But the public doesn't even know.
But that's what I'm saying.
That's
Is
the
because
frustrating.
it's skewed so much, I don't think...
Because it's equestrian horse arena. I mean, come on, really? Can we not just say cuts across the board?
Well,
Now you're talking about cutting horses. I mean,
Right,
where's
yeah,
it
I
going to
mean,
end?
and even things like Obamacare. And I will say, I actually had dinner with a doctor earlier this week, and that's the first question whenever I meet anybody in
she's
the medical
moonlighting.
community.
Told you.
I know.
Totally.
See,
Moonlighting.
no, but I'm like, tell me what you think about Obamacare. And actually, he had some positive things to say about it. But the other things he said was like, we just have no idea how we're going to pay for it, and really how the state exchanges are going to work. But there are some good things about it. Even something like that, we can't even figure out our own health care. Like, there's just so much that the government has its hands in that is just completely mucked. That
they're mucked up. Yeah, I get it.
It's so opaque. You really can't. There's
the water's really muddy.
You got it. That's
the water's
exactly
muddy. However,
it's very frustrating.
I do encourage people to go to whitehouse.gov and start doing some homework, because I really do think.
Informed.
I mean, it's very spin towards the party that's in place. However, there are some facts and figures on there which are interesting if you go into some of the reporting.
Right.
And
I also
found it really
encourage people to go to the Congressional Budget Office.
There you go.
So this is just I think it's cbo.gov.
Right.
And there you can see they are supposed to be an impartial.
And those reports were actually, I could get to
referenced
them through
in
this.
Yeah, exactly. But if you see, that's where I pulled those figures about Social Security. I'm not making this up. This is not coming from some right-leaning information source. I mean, those literally are the numbers. Go to the Treasury Department. You can see how much we have in debt and how much interest we've paid. I mean, those are simple things you can do just to at least be informed about that, and that way you can kind of make decisions. Again, nobody wants to feel the pain personally, but I really do think if we want to keep this nation what it was, what it can be,
everybody's going to have to.
Everyone's going to have to share and do their part. You got that right.
Exactly. And it's not just on the backs of the rich people.
No.
And it's not just on the backs of the senior citizens.
Or the poor people.
I hate that. I hate that terminology. Yeah. It's starting class warfare. I mean, on a whole nother level.
Somebody just let them eat cake, it's over. It's over. I'm just saying.
Off with their heads. Off with their heads.
And next thing you know, you're going to see zombie foreclosure.
Right. Exactly.
Again, if you have any real estate or mortgage-related questions or questions regarding the absolute chaos that we are talking about today on this morning show, oh my gosh. Kate, I love it when you bring it.
Sorry,
that's for sure. Call us
fired
anytime. 800-979-3958. Again, that's 800-979-3958. We'd love to get your take on today's issues. You can also check out our resources online. Go to our website, REOFresnoHomes.com. Search for your new home. To friend us on Facebook, use Press 4 keywords.
Friend Valley White on Facebook.
Or use Press 4 keywords.
KMJ, call Valley White.
To get connected to us anytime, we'd love to hear from you. After the break, we're going to take some listener questions. You are listening to the Real Estate Radio Network, helping to redefine real estate here on 105.9, the FM KMJ.
This program is brought to you by the Real Estate Radio Network. Visit realestateradio.us for more info. That's realestateradio.us.
All it takes is one call to the professionals at Valley White Homes, and you'll start building wealth in real estate. Whether you're looking for your first home, moving up, or your next income-producing investment property, let the experts at Valley White Homes help. There's never been a better time to get into the real estate market. Visit our website at reofresnohomes.com or call toll-free 800-979-3958. That's 800-979-3958. And put the seasoned professionals of Valley White Homes to work for you. Have you ever thought about going solar? It's never been easier to go solar than with a SunPower lease. You'll start saving money the very first day. Arise Solar has a team of energy consultants ready to help you determine if going solar is right for you. Start taking control of your energy costs. Contact Arise Solar, your local SunPower Elite dealer at 449-8989. That's Arise Solar at 449-8989. Or use Press 4 keywords, Arise Solar.
Did you know that all the tickets you can buy on different websites come from the same place? Did you know that you can buy every ticket you need to any event in the country? The whole country. From Pete's Seats right here in Fresno. If that's the case, you need to call Pete's Seats. Any ticket, anytime. Sports, concerts, theater. Hey, there's seats, and then there's Pete's Seats. Premium tickets for all events. Local, national, worldwide. Don't settle for a regular seat when you can get a really good Pete's Seat. Online at peteseats.net or simply 294-SEAT. That's 294-7328.
How much should I be saving? When can I retire? What can I do to ensure that my estate will be left in the hands of my family once I'm gone? Is my hard-earned money safe in today's markets?
With all the uncertainty in today's world, all of us at the Island Group know it is our job to provide answers to these questions. Walk with us, the Island Group at UBS Financial Services. Call me, Kate Island, at 559-248-4097. That's 559-248-4097, and take the first step in protecting your financial future.
All rights reserved. UBS Financial Services, Inc. is a subsidiary of UBS AG. Member SIPC.
You're listening to Real Estate Radio Network with local expert Craig Barton. Now, here's Craig.
You know, Michelle, we just wrapped up a pretty heated conversation with regards to...
Do you see the smoke?
I was just going to say, I think that
she's
side
off
of
the
room is
soapbox,
smoking.
but it's still burning.
I apologize. I'm
I
sorry.
spit on it.
I'm getting
She
so
did too,
angry
but
about it.
Still
I
burning
just,
over there.
Don't ever apologize.
I can
I'm just
usually
saying.
keep it
I'm
pretty
sorry.
cool, but today is just one of those days.
We didn't mean to push your buttons, Kate.
That's all right.
You got all this pent-up stuff that
Is it
you're
venom?
bringing to the
Is
mic
it-
today.
Apparently, maybe I'm too nice all the time. I just need to let it rip every once in a while.
Yeah, she's
that
ripping
kind of
it
felt
in our
good.
room.
Feel cleansed. Thank you.
you?
Yeah.
Hey,
Rebirth.
Until we hear the conversation, you say, you know what, a really good friend of mine, Michelle, you know Michelle. Yeah, well, not you, Michelle, but this is Kate saying, a really good friend of mine, Michelle. You know, I saw her today, and I just told her, you know what, I think you need to lose some weight. Oh. Wow.
What?
Wait, what?
What are you talking about?
What I'm saying is that's how forceful you're getting as far as
I think he's saying you're blatant and rude.
that's called direct.
Oh, is it
Totally
direct?
It's called direct.
Really?
Oh, so let's direct our way right to some listener questions. Well, Stephanie from Clovis asked, my husband and I started a business 18 months ago, and we are hoping to buy our first home. We've been told that we haven't been in business long enough. So self-employed, started a business 18 months ago. What do we do? So there's a lot of questions kind of buried in there. The first thing that we need to find out, number one, Stephanie, is as far as the length of time, yes, most underwriters / lenders require 2 months,
2 years.
2 years in business, 2 years self-employed. They also require not just 2 years being self-employed, but they require 2 years of filed tax returns. So whether it's a sole proprietorship, whether it's a partnership, whether it's a corporation, S Corp, C Corp, an LLC, they require 2 years to be verified that they've been filed. Yeah.
I have a question on that.
Yeah.
Does it matter how you acquire the business? Whether
No.
you purchase an existing business or...
No, doesn't.
Okay, thank you.
No, so what happens if you were a W-2 employee and then for 6 months in those 2 years, and then you started your own business and you had it for 18 months, so you still had income? No, so the
Still gonna
business
have-
has to be around for 2 years.
Business has got to be in existence for 2 years and 2 years of filings as far as the returns are concerned.
Now, on that note, though, if it is not your own business and you were in school and then you went into, say you went to school to be an accountant, you became a CPA and you're working at the firm and you've only been at the firm 18 months, generally we can work with that because your schooling
Is your
on the job.
Your prep.
Ah, okay.
So
That makes
that's a
sense.
different
Right.
situation, but similar.
And
That's
can
why
I
bring
throw in
that
just
up.
a financial planning comment on
Yeah,
this?
go for it.
So
do.
I would say if you've only been in business for 18 months, you probably need to make sure that you have at least a year's worth of cash sitting in the bank somewhere in a coffee can under your bed, whatever, before you consider buying a home. Because if that business, 18 months that's new. That's new for a business.
Because what is statistically, if you have a new business, they expect it to fall
There's a greater likelihood that you're going to
It's
fail
not
within
gonna
the
make
first
in the
2
time
years.
frame,
Right.
2 years or
I
3
think
years?
it was 3.
I think it's 3 years as well. the
And
statistic.
not saying that this business that will happen.
No, but-
before you're contemplating locking
Right.
yourself into a fixed payment for the next 30 years or however long it is,
You want them to
have
ride the wave
have some
of
cash
life?
savings. Yep.
Yeah.
And so
Definitely.
maybe your business has been very successful and you have that.
It's
again,
not going to be
you
used
just
for your
say-
down payment.
That's
might I
not
add.
correct.
Yes.
No, after you buy the home, you want to have that money in savings,
Yeah,
which I would
because-
kind of encourage everybody to make sure that you have, but especially if you have just started a new business, that especially you want to make sure you've got cash reserves.
Just so you know, the banks really don't take into consideration your coffee can. I'm just saying.
This is very true.
You have to put it in the bank.
Right.
Just
Hey,
saying.
I'm not saying for qualifying. I'm
Technicality.
just,
Oh my gosh,
I'm just
yeah.
saying
Technicality.
you can't like show it to them,
Yes.
take
No,
a picture of
you
it,
can't take
put it
pictures.
on your
They
application.
don't.
You know, I had
care.
one obstinate agent that did not work for our company that came in one day and said he was actually kind of grandstanding, and he brought me these like 5 sheets of Xerox paper that had $100 bills photocopied all over them.
Are you serious?
saying he was going to tell his broker, hey, this is, here's proof of their deposit. I'm thinking, wow.
What?
That's someone really trying to make a point there.
Yeah.
I don't think he's
A lame
in the business
point.
anymore.
Yeah, really.
So yes, 2 years.
Okay.
And getting back to the question, self-employed is an additional layer of risk as far as lenders are concerned. So you do have to be very, very careful. And I totally agree. Above and beyond, first and foremost, your emergency fund is the most important thing that you need to have in place. Secondarily, saving monies for your down payment as well as some closing costs and prepaids, and making sure that your monthly debt load above and beyond because it's easy to go down to the car lot and purchase a car, and you got a $400 pay. It's easy. It's so easy to do that.
Mm-hmm. And we live in such an immediate gratification society. Yeah. We want it today. We don't want to wait. We don't want to be patient. We don't want to play by the rules of 2 years because 18 months should be long enough.
Right.
Yep.
So we have a lot of that goes on just as a culture as well.
I wonder where we're getting that example. Federal government.
Anyway, Senate, Congress. Okay.
Well, that plays right in there. Yeah. So, Robert from Fresno, strategic default or not to strategic default?
Wow.
So let's define something real quick. Strategic default is when you strategically choose to forego making the payments on your mortgage or mortgages.
You have the money and you don't make it.
You have the money. You possess,
have the money and you squelch on
you
your
possess the ability to make your payment on a monthly basis because, and there's usually some extraneous, some type of motivation. My neighbor down the street sold his house for $275 and I owe $350, and I'm tired of being upside down.
So, one of the other issues with strategic default in that situation. Do you buy the house down the street for $275 and save $50,000, $75,000, and then let yours go? That's what we would consider also a big concern and a big issue for strategic default. So it becomes a moral question.
It's a big moral question.
It's a big moral question. I actually have a good friend who's upside down in his neighborhood, has a Calvet loan. There is no help for Calvet out there. And he had a conversation with his pastor, and his pastor said, you know what? You have a moral obligation. You felt it worth that. You have the finances to support it, and you're in that neighborhood for some ordained reason we don't know about. So
that's an amazing take on it. It really is.
So stick with it. There's a plan, and it's bigger than you. I found that really interesting.
It does come down to a moral question.
Yeah.
It really does.
It does.
If you've got those kind of questions, give us a call. Anytime, 800-979-3958. I love the listener questions. They continue to get, and we only have so much time. We can't get to all of them. So call us anytime, 800-979-3958. You can also go to our website, check out our resources online, Fresnohomes.com. To friend us on Facebook, use Press 4 Keywords.
Friend Valley White on Facebook.
Or use Press 4 Keywords.
KMJ, call Valley White.
To call into the show anytime. During the show, after the show, during the week, we'd love to hear from you. Tell us your stories.
Yeah, we would love to take you on that sequestrian the Blossom Trail ride.
Trail tour, yes.
This next week.
Once again, we're going to get her eventually on board with exactly what that means.
What is the true definition?
I know what it is, guys.
Hey, thank you so much. Kate Island with UBS Financial Services.
Thank you so much for having
me. If somebody wants to get a hold of you, what's your number?
559-248-4097.
248-4097.
Yep. You got it.
Awesome. Also, a big thank you to Michelle Pettis-Cavalli, my special guest host. You took your meds today, didn't you?
I tried.
Yeah, a girl, but lots of coffee. Our goal at the Real Estate Radio Network is to get you, our listeners, the timely and accurate truth about your local real estate market so we can help bring you
back home.
Don't forget to tune into the Real Estate Radio Network next Sunday morning. We'd love to see you here, 7 a.m. on 105.9, the FM KMJ. Local news, local talk. Make it a great day, Central Valley, and we will see you next week.
The preceding program was paid for by the Real Estate Radio Network.